So you're thinking about moving to Atlanta, Georgia, or maybe Dallas, Texas, and you can't really figure out which one is better for you. And that's what this video is all about. It's not really about me telling you where to live. It's about giving you all of the information you need to make the best decision for you and your family. So I'm going to cover some things like, population and census data and housing and cost of living and some lifestyle stuff. And I'm going to give you my perspective, but the goal is to empower you with enough so that you can make the best decision for you. So if you've got any interest whatsoever in living in Atlanta or Dallas, then you're going to want to stick around for that. And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, Georgia, then subscribe below and ring the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Atlanta. My name's Denny. The team and I get calls each and every day from people just like you looking to make the move to Atlanta, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving next week, next year, or anytime in between, call, text, email, schedule a Zoom. We'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. As I mentioned in this video, we're going to talk about not just like the population, the data, and the census and all that kind of stuff between Atlanta and Dallas, but really some lifestyle stuff. And I'm going to try to give you my perspective of what it's like to live here and give you some information that'll help you make a sound decision for you and your family. Now, I have a unique perspective because I have lived in Atlanta, New York, LA, Chicago, and Dallas, Fort Worth. So I've lived all over the country in all these major metro areas. I think it gives me, it's not why I lived in all those places, but it does give me a unique kind of perspective and the ability to give you some insights into each one of those markets. And I've spent most of my adult life in Atlanta, first as a young man with no family, and now, am I middle-aged? I'm 43. So middle-aged man with a wife and kids and family living in the suburbs. So going to try to bring all that context to it. Let's dive right in. You may or may not know this, but Dallas in terms of the city is significantly larger in terms of population size than Atlanta. It's 1.35 million people. Atlanta is only 532,000 people. Now, that's a little deceptive because they're talking about the city. There's a major metro, which is really what I think most people think of when they think about a city. But Dallas, the city, is actually significantly larger as well. It's 340 square miles. Atlanta is only 137 square miles. And so they actually have the same population density, just under 4,000 people per square mile, about 3,900 and change, each of them. And so Atlanta is 137 square miles and 532,000 people. And Dallas is 340 square miles and 1.35 million people, both with about 4,000 people per mile. So the density feels the same. The city is just bigger. The metro, which includes all of the suburbs and surrounding areas, Dallas is 7.8, that's current 2022 population, 7.8 million people, and Atlanta 6.17 million people. And so Dallas is a little bit larger in terms of the metro, but both of them, two of the largest major metropolitan areas in the country. And Dallas is growing at nearly 20%, the major metro, and then just under 20%. And Atlanta is growing at just over 15% for the major metro. Now, the city of Dallas is only growing by 12% and Atlanta by 24%. So, you have those kind of varying dynamics, but both large, very dense, not as dense as like a Chicago or a New York because they're confined to the city. It's suburban sprawl. They're both just kind of spreading out and spreading out and spreading out and spreading out. And so I wanted to give you that kind of context. So with that, a little bit of the demographic information, surprising to me that Dallas and Atlanta were highly ranked on the homosexual population on LGBT. I'm not going to do all of them, but anyway, you get the picture. I was surprised about 4 to 5% of the population of Atlanta, major metro, and Dallas was in that LGBT community. And there's a bit of flip-flop in terms of the rest of the demographics. And I've got some notes, which is why I look down occasionally rather than have my editor fix all of it. I think you can understand that I just want to get it right, or at least as close to right as possible for you. So Atlanta was 61% Black, and over the decades is now down to 50%. We're talking about the city. And the white population has grown from 31 to 41%. But within that 41%, 38% of that is considered white, non-Hispanic, and just 3% of it is white Hispanic, which I thought the Hispanic population in Atlanta would be larger. And so it's really 50% Black. We're talking about in the city, not in the major metro, 41% white. And of that, it's really 38%. So let me say that 50% Black, 38% white, 3% Hispanic. That's in the city. Now that flip-flops when you get out to the suburbs and outside the perimeter, but the Black population has been growing in the suburbs, and the white population has been growing in the city, which is kind of unique. I didn't know that until I started to look at all this data. And so, but overall, a 1.6% annual growth. 1.6% annually. Now over in Dallas, Black population is 24%. White population is 62%, but that's 29% white and 34% Hispanic. So Black population in Atlanta, 50%, in Dallas, 24%. White population in Atlanta, 38%, in Dallas, 29%, and Hispanic in Atlanta 3%, and in Dallas 34%. So just kind of give you some context about that. And then Dallas, the annual growth rate is 1.5%. And then both of them in the 4 to 5% range for the LGBT community. So that gives you a little bit of idea in terms of the demographics. Now we're going to talk about, and I don't do winners and losers when it comes to demographics, because to each his own. I love Jesus and I love everybody, and you're all welcome to move to Atlanta. I think Dallas and Atlanta are both very diverse places in different ways. And so, if you have a preference, that's totally up to you. But now I'm gonna get into the things that I do have an opinion about, which aren't necessarily hardcore data. It's more like, how do I feel about it? And that is, first, the weather. Dallas has 2 seasons. You got really hot, and then you've got, mild. But the thing I think Dallas is missing is the distinct difference between a spring and a fall and a summer and a winter. Atlanta has 4 seasons. You have some cold but not terribly brutal winters, occasionally snow, but not very often. You get some really hot, really humid, really, muggy summers. But then you also get a beautiful spring with really comfortable weather, an explosion of flowers and trees and greenery and all that kind of stuff. And then you have a really cool, crisp, pleasurable fall where you can leave your windows open. It does come with some pollen, but all, in the spring, but in the fall, you get all the different colors of all the greenery that's dying. And so you get yellows and oranges and reds and greens, and it's really, really cool. And so the average temperature in Dallas is 47 to 86. That's throughout the year. That was the lowest monthly average, and the highest, 47 to 86. Atlanta's is 43 to 79. So a little bit milder of a climate in Atlanta. So I'm going to give that check to Atlanta. And having lived in both places, I do prefer the weather and the temperature here in Atlanta. As it relates to outdoor activities, like Dallas is pretty landlocked. You don't have a beach nearby. I know you can go down through Houston, you can get to the ocean, you can jump on a plane, but Atlanta, you're about 4 or 5 hours to the beach. But more importantly, there are lakes, there are rivers, there are forests. There's tons of outdoor activities. So you can put your butt in the sand and your feet in the water at a lake. You can go ski and do all that stuff. You can definitely do all of that in Dallas, and they have plenty of lakes. But if you're looking for a forest, if you're looking to go hiking, if you're looking for, that vibe, or if you're looking for, a more, diverse terrain and topography, then I'm going to go ahead and give that one to Atlanta as well. And so whether it comes to outdoors, when it comes to the seasons, when it comes to the temperature, I think we can see that Atlanta is off to a very good start. Now let's talk about some of your daily life. Like what's the traffic going to be like? What's the public transportation like? What about if you need to get on an airplane? Well, Traffic's going to suck in both places. I've been in traffic in all of those. Public transportation is not going to be great in either one of them. Now, I will say this. I think Atlanta and Dallas have similar traffic. Like if you're local and you're from there, like you could potentially work your way around it. I do think some of the tolls are better developed in and around Dallas to help you get out of that if you're willing to, pay a little bit more and hop on one of those. Atlanta's making way in that. I think Dallas public transportation, the rail system is a little bit better, but not to where you can fully be dependent on that and not on your car. Whereas MARTA in Atlanta is not great. You'd have to live right next to the station, and work next to it to live, work, and play off of that. So, but none of them are great. Now, the airport, on the other hand, Dallas has 2 airports, DFW and Love, or Atlanta has Jackson Hartsfield International. You might live closer to an airport if you're over in Dallas. If you live on the south side of Atlanta, you're going to live near the airport. If you live on the north or out east, you're probably not. And so the commute to the airport might be a little worse. But I will say this, having flown in and out of all those airports a lot, the experience is a little bit different, but good. Like it's not terrible. And, if you never fly, that might be hard to believe. But if you fly a lot, like I get a feel for these things, and the airports really are good. The only advantage I would give Atlanta would be, because it's the busiest airport in the world, literally the busiest airport in the world, there's more direct flights and the fares are a little bit cheaper because there's more direct flights. So you can get just about anywhere you want to go from the Atlanta airport without connecting. So I'll give Dallas maybe public transportation and traffic a little bit of an edge. In Atlanta, I'll give a little bit of an edge to the airport in terms of transportation. So do with it what you will. That's my opinion on traveling or transportation in and around to and from Atlanta and Dallas. All that being said, let's dive into another topic that is going to be really important, which is taxes, right? Texas has the edge in income tax. Georgia's is 5.75% income tax. Texas is 0, nothing. But property tax in Texas is much higher than it is, literally double what it is in Georgia, because that's where the government gets their revenue. So if you're going to buy a home, you're going to pay double property taxes than you will in Georgia. What's that mean? Well, if you make $100,000 a year, you're going to save $5,000 living in Texas on income tax. And if you own a $500,000 home, you're going to pay $5,000 more in property tax. So it's about a wash. Most property tax in Georgia is around 1% or less. Most of it in Texas is almost 2% and can be as high as 3%. So 1% versus 2%. You get what I'm saying? So it's really, are you going to pay more in property tax or more in income tax? Now, if you're not going to own a home, then maybe you need to go rent in Texas, but that's deceptive too, because the owner of that home that is renting it to you, they pay property taxes. And so that's going to be reflected in your rent. And ultimately that owner has to pay the mortgage and the taxes. And so you're paying them whether you rent or whether you own. So it is what it is. That's how the government gets their money, is from taxes. Texas just chooses to get theirs in property taxes. Georgia is a blend of property tax and income tax. And then both of them obviously have sales tax. So that's the tax situation going on. Let's talk about schools. Public schools, in most major metro areas and in the inner city are not great. Same thing with Dallas and Atlanta. But I do think once you get it beyond that, you're looking at the major metro and the suburbs, Cobb County, Forsyth County, Gwinnett County schools, North Fulton, you're going to find really great schools in and around Atlanta. And then the same thing in Dallas. There's some of the best public schools in the state and in the country in the Dallas area. So I think it really depends on where you're going to live within that city, not necessarily whether it's Atlanta or Dallas. It'll be more localized. And so that's the public schools. In the higher education beyond public schools, you have SMU, TCU over in Fort Worth, University of Texas, University of Dallas, University of North Texas. You have a lot of those universities over in the Dallas area. And very good schools. But when it comes to higher education, both the school and the sports associated with those schools, Atlanta is really where it's at. You're going to have the University of Georgia, Georgia State University, Georgia Tech, Emory, undergrad, grad schools, Spelman, Morehouse. You're going to have all tons of options and all really great schools, both undergrad and graduate. And so if you're looking to go to school part-time or full-time, Atlanta, to get a higher education degree, Atlanta is definitely a great school, but you're going to find quality options in Dallas as well. But I'm going to give a little bit of the advantage over to Atlanta in that regard. Now, something that you're probably really interested in is the economy and jobs. And I'm going to say that Dallas and Atlanta are very similar. And what I mean by that is if you look at like a Houston that's very dependent on the energy, and when energy's up, Houston's up, and when energy's down, Houston's down. Dallas does have some of that dependence on the energy sector, and Dallas does do well when the energy sector does well. But they also have, media, telecom, construction and building, food services, IT. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of great, job growth in the economy and in Dallas, and it's growing like a weed. And so the economy's growing too. And so it's a really great place to be. Atlanta also home to a lot of Fortune 500 companies. You're talking about like Home Depot, UPS, Coca-Cola, even like Mercedes-Benz North America, Porsche North America. There's lots of manufacturing. You've got a Kia plant. You've got Rivian, the electronic vehicle EV company. They're opening a manufacturing facility here. Google, Facebook, Amazon, tons of really big industry. Is becoming the #1 production for movies and TV shows out of Atlanta. Logistics, IT, healthcare, biomed. Like there's a lot going on in Atlanta. So, you're going to get a really good, strong economy in both of those cities. I want to say Atlanta, but I'm going to flip a coin because it depends. Are you looking for a new opportunity? You're looking to grow in one of those industries. You're looking to change industries. Like you're looking to go to higher education and coupled with jobs. So I will leave that up to you. And I'm not done, so don't go anywhere. I have arguably the most important topic to discuss, and that is sports. Now, we'll start with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Hands down, like the stadium, the experience, the crowd, the support, the fans, the Dallas Cowboys, I'll take over the Atlanta Falcons any day of the week. Being a Falcons fan is painful. We just traded Matt Ryan, and so who knows how we'll be next year. And even when we have come close, we completely choked. So it's been difficult, but they're, middle of the pack at best, the Falcons, and the Cowboys are for sure in the top 10, maybe top 5, and storybook, franchise, America's team, like I said. And so I'll give that to Dallas. Having said that, if we go over to baseball, it's pretty simple. Dallas, the Rangers, terrible, like AL West, I think worst, and Atlanta Braves, World Series champions, the best. I don't know that we'll repeat the World Series next year, but when you're looking at like the fan experience, the Braves have a brand new stadium, Truist Park, the battery, the energy, the excitement, the fan support, World Series champions, like it's hands down, there's not even a question, right? The Atlanta Braves take it for Atlanta and that. Now, basketball, the Hawks, I've been a lifelong Hawks fan all the way back to the 80s with Dominique Wilkins, but they're not great. They haven't been for a long time. Middle of the pack at both. Whereas, the Mavericks, Mark Cuban, he's done a good job with that franchise. I don't think the Mavericks are amazing. They might be in the top 10. I doubt it, though. Maybe 10 to 15th in the league. Atlanta's probably more like 15th to 20th. So neither of them are great. I will give the benefit to the Mavericks. Being a Hawks fan has been challenging, but we do have some, good players coming in. We'll see how that all plays out this year. I'll root for them. If they go head to head, I'll be a Hawks fan for sure. But currently, I'm going to give that advantage to Dallas. And then, hockey, there's not hockey here in Atlanta. I think there is hockey in Dallas. So if it's your make or break your decision on hockey, you should probably go live in Dallas. But if you're anything like me and you love soccer and you're a soccer fan or a soccer player or a parent of a soccer player, then there's nothing better than Atlanta. Atlanta United won the entire league their second season in the league. They have a state-of-the-art stadium. It's a few years old. It seats 70-something thousand people. They've set attendance records. The fans are amazing. The support is amazing. The energy is through the roof. Last year was kind of a rebuilding year. They finished strong in the playoffs. They're off to a really good start this year as well. You can always find me at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for Atlanta United game. But the FC Dallas is just not they're just not competitive. I mean, competitive maybe, but they're not great, right? And so Atlanta has a phenomenal soccer team. And if that's important to you, then, or if soccer is, then this is the place to be. And if you get here, let me know. I'll take you to a game. We'll have a blast, have a beer, get some concessions. You can go, by yourself or as a couple, or you can bring the kids. It's family friendly. It's awesome. I love it. I can't say it enough. So I'm going to flip a coin: football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer. I don't know which way you want to go, but overall the pro sports in both of those cities are really good. If you have a preference, kind of laid that out for you. And drum roll, I think the winner of our Atlanta versus Dallas contest is completely up to you. Like, if I missed something or made a mistake, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments below, and we always welcome that. If you haven't already, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you get notified. That this video was more about helping you figure out what's best for you. And we want to be a resource for that. So whether you're moving in a month, a year, anytime in between, call, text, email, schedule a Zoom. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. And hey, if you're going to go to Dallas, I have a stellar partner in the Dallas market who has an amazing real estate team there. And I would gladly connect you with him so that I know that you have a great experience. They're not quite as great as us. I'm kidding. Of course, we're great. But I have partners all over the country: Houston, Dallas, and everywhere in between. And so if you do end up in one of these other markets and you would like to make sure that you end up in good hands, then reach out as well. I'll make sure you connect you. But I would love for you to move to Atlanta. And if you do, we would love to help you. Until we meet you in person, hopefully we will see you on the next episode.